Okay, so really feeling a twisting practice very and to be very beneficial today. We just had the equinox, so we've got this shift now of kind of going from things were really balanced and now they're going to be going in another direction, which seems to be how everything in life goes. Like as soon as I think like, okay, we've arrived, by the time you can even process that, it's like things are changing and moving on again. So we're doing a little bit of clearing out and making space for all of this, this seasonal shift that tends to happen. And really working into the hips in more of a grounding nature. And changing these circumstances can be fairly unsettling, and it's hard to get it done. It's hard to get like that balanced ground. And that is really when I've been in a lot of movement and artistic practice trainings, and they say like, it's so weird how we're always trying to find balance and always be balanced when that is not really the nature of things, to be just like perfectly even keel for more than fleeting moments. Really what might serve us better is to try to find a way to be able to exist in peace while off balance. I find a place, even while things are all twisted and turned and I'm not really sure what's happening next, that I can be okay with the fleeting moments of balance and the fleeting moments where I've got things kind of sorted out, and I can feel okay even when I'm not sorted out. Let's begin with face brushing, index finger and thumb together. So starting at the center of the forehead, moving outwards towards the temples. And then from the sides of your nose out to your temples, along your cheekbones. From your temples down to your chin, along the jawline. From the sides of your nose down to your chin, along the laugh lines. Massaging underneath and behind your ears. As you do so, perhaps noticing some of the clearing away that the face brushing brings up. Lifting up from that bony spot right behind your ears. Try to keep this length in your spine as you drop your hands down into your lap. Find some balancing to your breath. Trying to find a point where, generally speaking, your inhales and your exhales are about the same, but having that perfectly balanced level being such a moving target and somewhat of an impossibility, and a little bit irrelevant. Take a big breath in. Breathe out. Again, like that, big inhale. Big exhale. For 3 ohms. And blinking your eyes open, take your right fingertips and walk them over just a little bit. And instead of trying to get deeply bent over, let's take the right arm up and over, extending outwards through that right side as much as possible. So really trying to expand up and out. Relaxing the shoulder blade away from your spine. Notice if you're shortening the space between your left ear and left shoulder. On your next exhale, think of your left hip getting just a little bit heavier. One more breath in. One more breath out. And then lifting up, take both arms up. See if you can pick your spine up just a little bit taller. And then left hand down, go ahead and walk it out a little bit. And then reaching out longer through that right side. See if you can soften the space between your shoulder and your ear. Releasing the shoulder blade from the spine. Big breath in. Big breath out. And then coming back to the center. Take those arms up again, get a little bit taller, and then we'll twist over towards the right side. So use your arms to support you. Lift up long through that spine. As you exhale, soften your belly. 2 more long breaths like this. And coming back to the center, reach the arms up, and then twist over towards the left. Feeling more open in the chest as you inhale, a little bit softer and squishier in the belly as you exhale. 2 more breaths like that. And coming back to the center, reaching those arms up again. Get a little bit taller through another breath in. And then let the hands center down in your heart. We're gonna start moving over onto our backs. So go ahead and move your stuff out of the way. Come down, lean on your back, bring your knees into your chest. Give yourself a little rock around. And let your left leg slide out and take your right leg over into a twist, reaching your right arm out to the right side. Let that belly get soft. And then you're gonna take your right leg and just reach it out there. I've got a wall, unfortunately, in the way, so it doesn't have to be like all the way out like so. It could be down a little bit. And see if you can reach your toes away from your fingertips as much as possible. Big breath in. Big breath out. And bring yourself back to the center. Switch sides, taking your left leg in, and then guide it over into a twist. Open this left arm out. You'll feel for a moment your knee and your fingertips maybe getting a little bit further away from each other, softening the center space. And then reach that leg out. So your toes are getting farther away from your fingertips, so the energy at least in your toes is getting farther from your fingertips. Still ideally breathing. This is a little bit hard. One more exhale. And then coming back to the center, just bringing both knees in, giving yourself a little squeeze. And then taking your shins up parallel to the ceiling, bring your hands underneath your hips, and then wiggle your shoulders underneath your back so that your chest is open. Your elbows and your shoulders are both pressing down into the floor. Your belly is wrapping towards your spine, even if it's not like tucked down towards the floor. We're just gonna take our legs over towards the right, about 4 to 6 inches, and then back up to the center, trying to keep your thighs towards each other. So exhale, knees about 6 inches over to the left, inhale to the center. And I find it's actually kind of hard to keep the thighs magnetized towards each other. So I don't mean like they have to touch. Maybe they do always touch, because honestly my thighs always do touch, but like the bones in the middle of the thighs, can you try to keep those magnetized as one piece? This is really hard. Ideally, these shoulders are staying as open as you can manage. Hopefully, your breath is still something in the vague vicinity of balanced, and if it's not, whatever, try to bring it back though. Maybe you're actually doing this without a clenched jaw, or you just decided to wiggle yours, as I just did. And this has been a lot, so if you're still into it, give it just one more on each side. And back, and set your feet down. And you can decide if you want to just open one leg here to rest those inner thighs, or if taking, excuse me, both of them open seems like a better idea for you. There's so many blossoms in my neighborhood. I feel like that's getting to me now. If you had just one leg open, go ahead and switch to the other side, giving yourself that other release. You can always take fingertips to the sides of the thighs to give just that little bit of support, but not being quite so wild. One more exhale. And then drawing your legs back together. Go ahead and stretch it out, reaching your toes out and your arms out, finding some of that side space again. We reach out a little bit longer through the right side and the left side. Take a big breath in. Exhale, let it go. And bring your knees into your chest. And we'll take a twist with both legs. Legs going over towards the right, arms opening up. Maybe push down a little bit in the back of your right shoulder to open the left shoulder a little bit more. Your legs are in just as close as feels good to you. No need to go any further. Big inhale. Big exhale. And then taking the legs over to the other side, rolling your knees over, maybe a little wiggle to try to release the right shoulder and let your belly soften. One more breath out. And then come back to the middle, give yourself a little squeeze, and start to rock yourself upwards to a seat. And we're gonna come out of the hands and knees for just a little bit, so give yourself the padding that suits you. I'll come here into table pose, and then threading the needle, sliding your right arm over towards the left side, and you can come up onto fingertips, put this hand wherever you want to. Maybe you push both hands together, and then a little bit of pressure in the arms. Can you relax any pressure in your legs and your hips, or give it permission to relax, because it may not always be willing to go anywhere. One more breath out. Then taking the left hand back if you moved it, unwinding the right side, and then sliding that left side underneath. You can always decide to leave your hand where it is, take any other option, or the right palm presses onto the left palm, trying to create a little bit of action in the upper body and relaxing the action in the lower body. One more breath out. And then coming back to both hands up. Don't bring your right foot up by your right hand. Now you may grab a block here and put it underneath your left hand, so you've just got a little bit more space to come into this twist. As you reach your right arm up, reaching up, heart to those fingertips, soften your belly, maybe rotate a little bit more. One more breath out. And then start to come back to facing forward. You're gonna come up bringing both hands up on your front thigh. Take your hands onto your hips, draw the elbows back, feel the chest opening up. If it feels comfortable in the hips, see if you can lean them forward a little bit more, but always keep pushing down into this front foot. Big inhale. Big exhale. And relax that back bend. You're going to take the opposite elbow down to your thigh. If this isn't working and you want to hold your hand on your hip and not twist quite so much, feel free to go there. Or if you get the elbow onto your thigh, keep pushing strong down into that front foot. See if you can get your heart turned over towards your hand. If you're feeling really stable in your balance, you can take your palms and bring them together. And on your next exhale, soften the belly just a little bit more. And release your right hand back to your hip, your left elbow from your right leg, and start to make a transition back in the right leg, and then stepping the left foot forward. Maybe you take that block underneath your right hand, just to give you a little bit more room. Lifting your left arm up, lifting the inner thighs, pushing the left foot down into the floor. The left thigh bone pulls backwards gently. Big breath in. Big breath out. And coming back to facing forward so that you can come up and bring your hands onto your hips. Elbows pull back, hips go forward, heart moves upwards. Keep pressing down in that front foot. Big inhale. Exhale, soften. Right elbow maybe coming down to the thigh. Of course, the hand can come down too. Maybe your hands come together. Keep pushing into that front foot, lifting your inner thighs and creating a deeper rotation if it's available to you. Big inhale. Big exhale. And start to release, hand to your hip, elbow off the knee. Go ahead and take both legs back. Now widen your knees and sit in a child's pose, or come down onto your belly if that feels a little bit better for how your body's feeling right now. If you're in child's pose, and wiggle those hips around a little bit. One more breath out. And lifting yourself up and coming down onto your belly. I'm gonna go right out in a cobra pose. So sliding the hands back in by the low ribs, and then send your heart up. See if you can keep up in cobra pose and look just once over your right shoulder and over your left shoulder, and look forward, and then soften down, rest a chin or a cheek. Maybe wiggle your shoulders out a bit. And then starting to roll the shoulders back as you come up again in a cobra pose. Take just a little bit to look over your left shoulder and then over your right shoulder without losing the lift in the forward facing in your chest. Look forward again and soften down. And then pushing into your hands. Spread out your fingers. Push from your heart down into your hands. We'll move back into downward facing dog. Coming to forward fold eventually, so if you wanted to come there now and not spend so much time in down dog, you can really do that. Try to feel that strong spot in the back of your heart, that relaxed feeling in your heels and the backs of your hips. Breathing out. And looking forward. Hands to your feet, feet to your hands, forward fold. Bend the knees, maybe bounce things out a few times in the hips to soften them. And then keeping the knees bent as you roll yourself up to standing. Take your time with it, nothing super fancy. And then we'll come into a, where are we going? try like, how am I gonna set this up? I'll go this way. Take your right foot forward and your left foot back and come into warrior one, reaching your arms up. You want to get a good amount of space in between your legs here. And then you're going to take your heart and just move it like 2 inches further forward, so just a little bit. And then you're going to swoop your right arm back and your left arm forward and soften your belly, coming into a little bit more of a twist. Big breath in. Big breath out. And you're going to take your right hand to your right hip and your left arm comes up into revolve peaceful warrior. I forgot how much I love this, and then I sometimes just don't throw it in for a while, and then we come back and I'm like, oh, this is so good. One more breath in. And then take the arm forward again. I lean forward a little bit in my heart, send the right arm back. Might be a little bit different in your twist. And come back to the front, bring your hands together. See if you can step up into chair pose. Let it be the one where your feet are together. And if you need to come back and like try to find it again, doing that. And then squeezing those inner thighs together, just like we were doing in our twists and our core work. Send again your left arm forward and your right arm back. Soften your belly. The more you lean forward and pull the hips back, the more room there might be to twist around the belly. And I don't have this arm going straight back behind me. It's kind of off to the side. For fun, see if you can take your left foot and step it back into a lunge. Maybe it's not quite as big of a lunge. And then step forward again, just one more time. See if you can step back towards a lunge. And then come forward again. Bring the hands together, stand up. Oh, I feel like really, really strong on this side. Go ahead and reach your arms up. Take a little sway side to side. Releasing the sides of the ribs. And then settling the hands back down towards your heart. And this time it'll be the right foot that steps back into warrior one. Taking your arms up. Relaxing your left hip back, letting the right hip come forward. And then let your heart come forward just ever so slightly so you can swoop that left arm back and reach the right arm forward, coming into a twist. Big breath in. Big breath out. And coming back to the front, bringing your hands together. See if you can take the back foot and step it up. And it can be a couple of steps. Maybe you take like a little halfway and then come into chair pose. Get the one where you're squeezing your thighs together. Keeping the thighs squeezed together as you send your right arm forward and your left arm back. You might stay here. We try to bring your right foot back into a lunge. And then come forward again. And just one more time, see what it's like to step back into that lunge. And then come forward, hands together. Go ahead and stand yourself up. I totally forgot revolve peaceful warrior on this side. We'll do it again. Okay, left foot forward, right foot back. So coming into, excuse me, that twist. Goodness. So the left arm is back. Take your hand to your hip. And then reach your right arm up. Ooh, me. Feeling your heart lifting up to your hand. Big breath in. Exhale, come back to the twist, just seeing if it feels any different. And then go ahead and step yourself back up to standing. We'll take a little bit of that sway, that like reaching up and over side to side. Not even a big one, just enough to make some space and have some movement there. And then release your arms down. We're going to go back to using this block or object of this general size. and shape. And we're gonna come into a pyramid pose, or like warrior one legs, maybe a little bit shorter, two straight legs. We're gonna take ourselves down, either hands at hips. If you have the block in its tallest setting and it's comfortable for you to bring your hands to it, you are welcome to do that as well. You can even bend this leg a bit here if that's going to give you the space you need to come into a place that's a little bit more comfy. I won't even be super picky about this leg being straight here. If you can, great. If it's not happening today, that's okay. Big breath in. Big breath out. Then you're going to keep the left hand down. Now, if you had your hands at your hips, like I'm not getting my hand there, I want you to take your hand instead to the outside of your shin. You don't apply any pressure there. Just take your left hand to your right shin, or leave the left hand down. And then your shoulder and your hip are going to roll up, and you'll start looking over towards the right side. And you want the hip to go over towards the right side. It's still pulling back. Maybe you open that shoulder. Opening the arm is optional. It's not changed pretty much nothing else about what I'm doing, so it's just up to you whether or not you think it's fancy and fun and useful. Big exhale. You're going to start to come forward again, and then pick yourself up off the block and switch your feet. The left foot is forward, the right foot is back. Make sure you've got that little bit of space in between the legs. More or less, they're straight, but being a little bit forgiving for yourself at this point, taking your hands down or leaving your hands at your hips and leaning forward. Try to keep two strong feet supporting you. We'll tend to balance the hips a bit more. One more breath in. Breathing out, and then leaving the right hand down or moving the right hand down to your left shin. Take your left hand to your left hip. Let the shoulder roll up. Maybe you start to look over towards the left side. Maybe the shoulder rolls up more the more you exhale into a soft belly. Arm lifting is optional. Don't worry about getting it up to the ceiling. Just open it up from your shoulder. One more breath out. And then release your hand to your hip. Go ahead and unwind yourself and then lift yourself back up. And we're going to move into a little bit of standing balancing. So you can keep this near you if you want to go towards a wall. You might take it with you. When I have it out in front of you, you don't need to put your foot on it, but if you don't want to hold your leg up, you could just kind of rest. Let's say your right toes up on it. You can have your leg up higher. Now hold on to the knee if you got it up, so you give yourself a little bit of support. Then lift up from behind your ears and get stacked up right on top of your foot, and open this arm as much as you can. Make sure that you're not hanging out behind your hips. You want to be right up on top of them, softening your belly. Maybe for extra fun, ooh, you look back at that hand, and then remember to exhale and unwind and set the foot down and give a little shake out. And then coming to the other side, so I shift over a little bit. You can use the block, just resting your toe, not even putting any weight on it, or lift it all up. Hold the thigh if it's lifted. Lift up right on top of your standing foot and your hips. Open the left arm out. Soften your belly. Try to keep the breath steady. The pose doesn't have to be steady. You could come in and out of it 100 times. I don't know if there's quite enough time for that, but you do what you can. Exhale. And then unwind. Set the foot down. Go ahead and wiggle some things out. Real quick, take the hands behind your back, interlace the fingers, just pull the elbows back and stretch out the front of your heart. Twist can become very inward feeling very quickly. So give yourself some freedom. Breathing in. Breathing out. Relax the arms. We're going to come into revolved half moon as our balancing pose, and the leg that you're lifting up does not have to go up parallel with your hip. That becomes a little bit easier in half moon because we have this more open space. But in a revolved half moon, so you try to have your toes up off the ground. That'll be kind of where your balance is, and you could tap the toes down, just having that little bit of contact. What this shape is more like than half moon is warrior three. It's more like a revolved warrior three. So thinking of kind of that warrior three alignment of being right up on top of your leg, lifting those inner thighs and trying to keep the pelvis square. So let's come forward. You want to have the block underneath your right hand. If your left foot is down and you want it to be a good deal forward, let this not be where the weight is. Let this be where the weight is. And then take your left hand to your hip, lift your inner thighs. You can barely graze the right toes, have them lifted a little bit, or have them lifted up a little bit more like your hip. But you see it's really not that high. And then you either breathe here and move your eyeballs over to the left, and that could be enough rotation, or you start turning your head over to the left, or your heart turns over to the left, and you keep lifting your inner thighs. Maybe the arm goes up, but it doesn't go straight to the ceiling. And then look forward, set your feet down. You can use this as an aid to come into a very relaxed forward fold. Maybe wiggle your hips around a bit. And then starting to set up for the other side. So you're going to bring the block over towards your left hand. I want to think of this as kind of like my table pose spacing. Like how far are my shoulders away from my hips, because it's kind of the same thing. And then the weight's going to be on the right foot. Left toes can tap. You can lift a little bit. They can lift a lot. But lift those inner thighs a lot to keep the hips buoyant and square. You can turn your eyebrows or your face or your heart over. Maybe the arm lifts. Lift those inner thighs. I got lazy. Exhale. And then coming down, nice, easy fold. Weight on your feet, not on your hands. Just kind of resting here. Maybe bobbleheading a little bit. And then being sure you've got the weight back at your feet. Start to stand yourself all the way up. From here, taking your left leg and crossing it back behind your right, reach up, hold onto your left wrist, give yourself a little side stretch to find some length in that spine we've been twisting out. Try to push down strong in your back foot. Breathing out. And then coming back up, switching the wrist, switching your legs, reaching up and pushing down into that back foot. Big breath in, breathing out. Coming up, releasing your arms, unwinding your legs, and in fact, spread them out pretty wide here. One last standing shape before we go down. Toes face forward, arms behind your back. You can leave your hands at your back, you can hold your hands at your hip, or you can stretch out long through them as you come forward. And let that chest space open up again. Bend your knees if you need it. Try to keep the weight balanced in your feet or more towards your toes if you're feeling frisky in the hamstrings. Big breath in. Big breath out. Little bend in the knees. Release your arms. Come all the way back up. And we're just going to come straight down into a seat, sending your legs out pretty wide. Here we go. So sending your legs out just as wide as is comfortable. Take your hands back behind you. Lift your heart up. And if this feels great, and this is all you need, stay there or start to reach the arms forward, coming into more of a fold, just as much of one as is available and interesting to you. One more exhale. And starting to lift yourself up. You're going to take the left leg and fold it in, twist yourself over towards your right leg, and then come down over that leg as much as feels good to you, wherever you feel you should be holding on to. Start to walk it back and extend the right leg back, or the left leg back out and bring the right leg in. And then from here, there's a twisting of the upper body over that left leg, coming out just as much as is reasonable over your body. Big exhale. And start to walk yourself back. I'm going to send the leg out. You're going to take this leg up and over so that the knee is up and turn your body a little bit, or cross it over, and then twist over towards that left side. Get a little bit taller, soften the belly. One more breath out. Release the twist. Continue all the way over towards the right side just for a breath. And come back to the center. You're going to hold on to this knee, turn the leg over, ankle on the knee, and just pull your heart forward just for a moment. Breathing out. Hold on to just to make sure it doesn't get too wonky. And go ahead and extend that leg out. You'll bring the right leg up and over, probably adjusting some of the flesh here. And then lifting up in the spine, right hand in by your hips, soften the belly into your twist. Big breath in. Big breath out. And release your twist. One breath over, twisting to the left. Coming forward. You're going to hold on to the knee, adjust this so that your ankle is on your knee, and then pull your heart forward. Just a quick visit. And then coming back up. Unwinding your legs. We're going to come down onto the floor for a bit. So go ahead and settle yourself back. We're going to start up on the elbows in fish pose. So on the elbows, pushing down, lifting the heart up. Legs can go out longer if that feels better to you. Tailbone points down. Chest continues to expand. Breathing in. Soften as you exhale, relax that heart down. Come down onto your back. Resist the urge, if you have one, to bring your knees into your chest. I'll just come down and settle for a moment. We're going to go up into bridge pose next. I want to keep some of that expansive front body feeling. Now, if you have your heels anywhere but really close to your hips, bringing them about in there, that hip width apart, wiggle shoulders under, bridge pose, pushing down into your feet. All of those usual cues, right? Pushing down, expanding, rolling shoulders underneath, breathing, reaching. One more breath in. Relax your shoulders, rest the hips down. We'll go up again, just giving a little bit more of a chance to expand there now that we're a bit warmer. Pushing down, wiggling shoulders under, lifting the hips up. Big breath in. Relaxing the shoulders, releasing the hips down. Wiggle the feet a little bit wider and let your knees knock against each other. Big heart openers can be very exhilarating. Even like really awesome, wonderful things are essentially throwing us out of balance. It's like the way that we want to go, but it's still not that like even keel steady space. So allow yourself to settle a little bit more back towards that steady space. And bringing your knees into your chest. Wiggling around those hips a bit more. Coming into happy baby. Reaching the feet up. Big breath in. Relaxing as you breathe out, releasing the feet. You're gonna take the feet down, take your right ankle onto your left knee, hang out here, or just cross the legs over to get a little more hip stretch, or take the right arm in between the legs, hold the left thigh. No, thank you, but no. Relaxing your hips down. No. Softening with your breath. One more breath out. And then releasing your arms. You're gonna set the left foot down again if you lift it up. Keep the same ankle and knee set up, but take the knees over towards the left. See if you can leave the right knee facing up. And you can bring maybe a hand to your belly to soften it, maybe a hand to your hip to gently open it outwards. You can let the knee fall in a little bit if this alignment is just not feeling good. Maybe some movement of your foot would help with that. This can be really deep on that outer hip, so just being aware and going slow into it. One more exhale. Then you're going to take this leg, unwind it, draw yourself back to the center, and then take your left ankle onto your right knee. Stay there, cross the legs over to bring them in, or reach in between and hold onto the right thigh, relaxing the hips down. Big breath in. Big exhale. And releasing the right foot back to the floor. Keep the left ankle on the knee. Just tilt that whole shape over towards the right. Trying to soften your left hip. One more breath out. And then unwind your legs as you bring them back into the center. Give yourself a little hug. We're actually going to come back up to seated for a moment because all of that deep hip work was hopefully a good prep for us to work into fire logs pose. And it's as heated as the name would indicate. If you have something that you would sit on for meditation, go ahead and grab it. It can be a block. Sitting up on a block can be very helpful here too. So I'm gonna come and sit up on this just because it also feels better if I'm up here. And you're gonna take one shin in front of you. You're gonna take the other shin, or go ahead and grab your leg and just kind of wiggle it around a little bit. Now, if this at any point becomes just seemingly more trouble than it's worth, go for crisscross applesauce or just half lotus. But after you wiggle that around a little bit, try to bring your ankle to your knee. See about bringing your knee down to your ankle, probably Squeezing the bum out of the way is going to help. And then we're going to twist over towards the top foot. You might even take your hand on that top foot and kind of apply a little pressure. And then twist over towards the top knee. And then come back to the center. Place your hand on your knee and your ankle, and it's fine if it's a little bit unbalanced. You can always put something underneath that knee, maybe that block. But see if you can lift your heart up and out. If you are finding it difficult to breathe here, if there is pain here, crisscross applesauce. One more exhale. And then you're going to start to unwind this leg. Taking your legs back. There's a little bit more balance space. Moving out of the balance space into the fire logs. So your shin forward. Take this leg up, wiggle it around a little bit. And then you're going to bring your ankle to your knee to your ankle. Probably take that cheek and kind of squeeze it back a little bit. And then you're going to twist over towards the top leg or top foot. Maybe push into this top foot. Just press your hand into it. And you can feel how that starts to create things in this outer thigh and hip, yeah? One more exhale. And then the twist releases and you go over to the other side. Get nice and tall, breathe in. Soften as you breathe out. And then coming back to the center, it might be a little bit more relaxed in this knee. You might still need some support, a thing under it, or to decide to abandon ship. And then you're just going to lift the heart up and out. I'm not even really leaning forward. I'm just letting this open out and forward. And that is enough. Big breath in. Big breath out. Let's start to unwind the legs. Just go ahead and bring feet down and knees up for a bit. I'm going to bring feet together, knees open, and come forward with our heart. This bound angle pose, significantly more familiar territory. Big breath in. Big breath out. And backing off. If you've been sitting up on something, go ahead and scooch that off to your side. Leave it close to you if you want it for Shavasana. Before we go down for Shavasana, we're going to take deer pose. So one shin parallel to one and the other shin at the other, and then coming down maybe to an elbow, maybe to both elbows. Maybe you just kind of walk the hands back and lean back here, but leave the knee down. Let, if anything, the hip be the thing that lifts up. Reaching that knee away from you, feeling the front of the hip expand. Big inhale. Big exhale. One more time. Taking a hand, crossing it over, walking yourself back up, and then switching to the other side. Setting up that 90-degree-ish sort of space, and then you can walk the hands back, bend them, both arms, knee down, hip up, opening. Finding your breath again. Big breath in, big breath out. Again, like that. Taking that back arm, crossing it over, walk yourself up and start to come down onto your back. Make sure you bring whatever you would want around for Shavasana, bringing your legs in and wiggling yourself out. Taking your feet down a little bit wider than your hips. Open the arms behind you, hold elbows if you like, flex your feet, drop both knees over towards the right, a little more open twist. If this doesn't feel good to you, or if you've had enough thigh opening with that deer pose happening, just go ahead and bring both our legs over. You can always make that modification. Big exhale. And start to shift to the other side, knees going over, maybe closing the shape instead of keeping it open. If that feels better to you, relax your inner shoulders. Big breath in, big breath out. Coming back to the center, letting your knees fall against each other, placing one hand on your belly and one hand on your heart. It's interesting that even these two key elements of our life, of our life force, they don't tend to even work perfectly in sync or even in any sort of rhythm with each other sometimes. But they're able to coexist to collectively further our existence. And it doesn't need to be balanced and perfect and easy. If there's anything else you need at the end of practice, finding that, and then finding your Shavasana in whatever shape works best for your body. Start to come back to your body. Breathing a little bit more deeply. Tuning in. As you get a little bit more energy, making some small movements if they call to you. And rolling over to one side, turning inwards in a moment of gratitude for this time. Coming up to your own version of a comfortable seat. Letting your hands gather at your heart. Sealing practice as we release and Om together. Big breath in. Bowing down to the love and light within each of our hearts. Namaste. Thank you all so much.
Thanks, everyone. It was great.
Yay.
Yay, thank you.
Have good days.
You too.
Bye.
Bye-bye.